Stan Bowman's master plan is revealed, or so we think, when it comes to a sit-down interview with everybody's favorite Edmonton sports writer, Mark Spector, on how he thinks the Oilers are playing this season and his strategy going into the trade deadline, as the Oilers also have a game tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And yeah, the lineups are certainly interesting, folks. I'll tell you what. But first, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do so. If you are part of the 76% that have not yet subscribed to the channel, folks, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button down below. Don't even hesitate. Don't even think about it. Just hit that subscribe button down below for any and all Oiler news, as it's certainly getting a lot more juicy heading into the March 7th trade deadline, and it's sneaking up on us fast, folks. But Stan's plan, yes, Stan Bowman of the Edmonton Oilers sat down with Mark Spector earlier in the week when it comes to, his thoughts, again, his thoughts on the entire team. But last night we saw a trade with the Anaheim Ducks and the Detroit Red Wings, one that is very interesting. The Anaheim Ducks acquiring goaltender Ville Husso from the Detroit Red Wings, and many on Oiler Twitter thought, okay, the John Gibson deal is coming, it's coming, but Frank Seravalli quickly putting cold water on that, saying there is no dot to connect between the Ville Husso trade to Anaheim and a potential John Gibson trade. So there's a lot of smoke, but folks, yet there's no fire to be seen. It's merely an AHL move with the San Diego Gulls. Calle Klang is out month to month, and Oscar Dansk is the only other goalie with experience. They want San Diego to make the playoffs. And John Gibson, after suffering an injury against the Boston Bruins, he is expected to be back to the Ducks this week. But for Stan Bowman, in Mark Spector asked him, his thoughts on Evan Bouchard and Stuart Skinner, hoping to, for Stan Bowman to throw them under the bus. But Stan Bowman had other thoughts. He said, they are important players for sure, but so are Connor and Leon and Nurse and Ekholm. There are a lot of important players. Yeah, I'm worried about everything. I mean, part of the job is to be concerned about having not only the right group of players, but also having them perform to their fullest, to be on the top of their game. Most of our guys have had good seasons, but not everybody, so there is room for improvement. Of course, Mark Spector probably not getting the answer that he wanted when it comes to Stuart Skinner in Evan Bouchard's performance. Mark Spector doing Mark Spector things, but Stan Bowman, again, a very veteran GM move to, just bring them in with the rest of the team, make everybody feel as important as they should be, because, there's no I in team. They are all pieces of the puzzle when it comes to building a Stanley Cup winner. And when it comes to, Stan Bowman and the goaltending position, yes, the goaltending position, yeah, we haven't talked about that enough this week, haven't we? He said there tends to be a lot of noise around the goaltending position league-wide, because when the puck goes in, it's like either that was a good goal or a bad goal. I just think there's a lot of attention given to that. I'm not sure it's the most productive conversation all the time, with Stan Bowman saying that when his cup-winning teams in Chicago, he had good goalies, not great goalies, but that's kind of an insult to Antti Niemi and Corey Crawford. There you can see in that first Chicago Cup run, Niemi putting up a .263 and a .910 save percentage. And after that, I mean, with the encore presentation from Corey Crawford in both cup-winning years. Of course, Corey Crawford, sure, during the regular season wasn't the most outstanding goaltender, but turned it on when the lights got bright with a .932 and a .924 in the other two Stanley Cup winning seasons for the Chicago Blackhawks. So for Stuart Skinner, yeah, sure, he's not a great goalie. Sometimes he can be a good goalie, but comparing him to those other two goaltenders, just a little bit insulting, not only to the fact of Stuart Skinner, if you're trying to compare him to those other two, but also Niemi and Crawford. Again, it wasn't just Taves and Kane and Seabrook and Keith doing all the work. Yeah, there's some heavy lifting in the crease for both goalies. When it comes to, Bowman, he's playing both sides here when it comes to, acquiring a goaltender. He said, yeah, sure, he's maybe looking into it. But when he was asked by Frank Seravalli of Daily Faceoff if the Oilers will trade for a goalie, Stan Bowman was very blunt, saying no, and just, his final thoughts on how the Oilers currently have been playing, coming out of the Four Nations face-off. Says nobody played well enough last weekend. They've all got to play better, but for a large sample size this season, we've been a pretty good team, and he's not wrong. I mean, defensively, they've been fantastic. Offensively, they've been phenomenal. I just need to work on the finishing, but the goaltending, and not because of one or two players. We're just putting our heads down, readying ourselves for a lot of different scenarios, whether it's adding a forward, adding a center or winger with some size, speed with grit, a left defenseman or a righty defenseman. I tend to try to take the full picture into play and not be too focused on the noise of the last couple games. Not just the noise of the last couple games, but some noise in the organization when it comes to one player that is on LTIR, Evander Kane. Of course, the Oilers in LTIR right now, but Evander Kane, it's very interesting to note that becoming on March 1st, he has a 16-team approved trade list. Right now, he has a no-move clause, but on that day, again, a 16-team approved trade list. Just kind of repeating that. So when it comes to Stan Bowman, if Evander Kane is good to go for the rest of the regular season or before the end of the regular season, the Oilers cannot do a whole lot at the trade deadline. There, as you can see, the LTIR pool. If he comes back, then it becomes merely a dollar in, dollar out situation, and there's none of the big moves that we've been expecting to see from Stan Bowman. Of course, nothing when it comes to Evander Kane's status right now has changed in the past couple weeks. He said he was at 60%. But of course, that could always change in a matter of days there for Evander Kane, and trying to figure out where exactly he is at. Because of course, if he's ready before the end of the regular season, and you always try to keep him out, try to get him to shut up before the end of the regular season, it could get them in a lot of hot water. Trying to keep a player on LTIR when really he is good to go. But the best case scenario, keep him out until the playoffs, and the Oilers can get some big moves in. But of course, that's just me. That's just me being a fan, being a biased fan, saying, you know what, if you do have the necessary space and Evander Kane truly is not ready to be back before the end of the regular season, you need to capitalize that any which way you can for Stan Bowman, whether it's acquiring a new goalie, depth on the back end, depth in the bottom six, getting a scoring a finishing winger, lots of puzzle pieces that the Oilers have needed since about 2017. So they've had the same shopping list since that amount of time, and not a whole lot to be done regarding that. But for the Oilers, not just in the front office but on the ice tonight, with a bolt of energy. Yes, they were practicing in Florida yesterday, in Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, wherever the Lightning are. But it's very interesting for Darnell Nurse and the rest of the Edmonton Oilers to get back to where they are. They're not discouraged, but they are ready to get back into it as the Oilers take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. 6:30 Central, 5:30 Mountain. Another early one tonight, early evening game. And for Darnell Nurse, when it comes to the Oilers and trying to get back to where they are, just come to work and keep chipping away. I think our group has played a lot of good hockey over the course of the season. If you zoom out and look at it as a whole, we haven't been happy with how the last two games have gone, and probably a little bit of a stretch before that. Of course, they had that sleeper against the Colorado Avalanche where, easily winnable game, but they didn't. But for us, we get back to work and get back to playing the way we're capable of playing. Just looking at the lineup tonight here, projected from Tony Brewer of Oilers TV. McDavid back in the lineup tonight after a maintenance day at practice yesterday. He's alongside Victor Arvidsson and Zach Hyman there. Of course, Arvidsson hasn't played his best hockey in quite a long time there, so it's either a showcase for the trade deadline or try to get him, up and going again right next to the best player in the game with Vasily Podkolzin, Leon Draisaitl, and Matt Savoy in his third game as an Oiler. Mattias Janmark back in the lineup tonight after missing the game against the Washington Capitals, alongside Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Connor Brown, and then Kasperi Kapanen, Adam Henrique, and Corey Perry. Of course, you can see there are two notable changes. Mattias Ekholm, Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse, and Troy Stetcher in place for John Klingberg tonight, and Brett Kulak in Ty Emberson. And the other big change tonight, folks, after I mentioned Stuart Skinner in between the pipes, but the other big change is no Jeff Skinner tonight. Of course, don't know what Kris Knoblauch has against Jeff Skinner at all there when it comes to, the way he's been playing. Sure, he had that stinker against the Philadelphia Flyers on Saturday afternoon, but when it comes to comparing the rest of his performance, ever since, Christmas, he's been one of the best Oilers, no matter where you stick him in the lineup there. But kind of unfair to be scratched for this one. Again, not exactly sure when, you replace him with a guy like Kasperi Kapanen, or not Kasperi Kapanen, Mattias Janmark. I'm getting my European Oilers mixed up here, folks. Replaced by, Mattias Janmark, who's only scored 2 goals all season, one of which is on an empty net. Meanwhile, Jeff Skinner, he's providing an offensive spark. Again, no matter where he is in the lineup, and you haven't seen him, in interviews discouraged at all. He's happy where he is, but again, just very Very confusing on the Jeff Skinner and Kris Knoblauch doghouse situation, but looking at the opposition tonight, the Tampa Bay Lightning, winners of their last 5, heading into this one. Of course, their first game against the Seattle Kraken ever since the Four Nations face-off, taking that one 4-1 with Andrei Vasilevsky taking a win in all 5 of those. Just taking a look at their lineup tonight: Jake Guentzel, Anthony Cirelli, and Nikita Kucherov, Brandon Hagel, Braden Point, and Zemgus Jurgensen, Mitchell Chaffee, Nick Paul, Engage Consalves, and then Mikey Asimont, Luke Glenning, and they're running 11-7, so you can just forget about Cam Atkinson there, while Nick Perbix is the extra defenseman tonight for the Lightning with Victor Hedman and JJ Moser, Ryan McDonough, Eric Chernak, and then Emil Lilleberg and Darren Radish with Andrei Vasilevsky doing Andrei Vasilevsky things. Vintage Andrei Vasilevsky with a 2.29 and a 920 save percentage. Of course, the Oilers trying to get back into the win column tonight, but Tampa Bay, heading to Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Florida, it has not been their friend in recent history. They're the only win for them in the past 13 years, coming on November 8th, 2022, when Jack Campbell was the Oilers' winning goalie in that one. That is how long it's been when Jack Campbell got a win for the Edmonton Oilers. But that is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the whole Stan Bowman situation there. And do you think Evander Kane will be back before the end of the regular season? If so, that'll again throw a wrench into the Oilers' trade deadline plans. Of course, LTR had a bunch of videos on it going into the season. It still doesn't make much sense to me, but the Oilers pay people to make sense of it, and you know what, that's what matters in the end. But if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Folks, enjoy the game tonight. I mean, the Oilers haven't been, too strong these past couple games. Hopefully they get back into the win column tonight. Let's go, Oilers. Take care. Have a great rest of your Tuesday afternoon, and I will be back tomorrow for a Oilers Lightning recap. Take care. I'm Matt.